These are underrated lesbian romantic movies on Netflix that people criticize for all the wrong reasons. They call them too slow, too awkward, too messy, too happy, or trying too hard to be artistic. And every time I hear that, I know exactly what's happening. They're judging these films by rules they were never made to follow. I've watched these movies more than once. I've defended them in conversations where people rolled their eyes or dismissed them as not that good. And honestly, that only made me love them more. Because these stories aren't trying to be perfect. They're trying to be honest. Some of them are uncomfortable. Some of them are joyful in a way people aren't used to seeing queer women allowed to be. And some of them refuse to explain themselves at all. So this isn't a recommendation list. This is me defending lesbian romance movies that didn't play it safe and shouldn't have to. And if you enjoy my defense, why don't you show your act of kindness by supporting the channel's growth, liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and also commenting on your take on my defense? This will surely mean a lot for the team. Allow me to defend and plus the film. People love to call and selfish, or aimless, or hard to root for. And every time I hear that, I realize how uncomfortable we still are with lesbian characters who don't suffer loudly or redeem themselves neatly. I defend and plus because I recognize that restlessness immediately. That feeling of being in your 20s and not knowing if you want love, freedom, stability, or all three, but not in the order people expect. And isn't broken. She's undecided. And that difference matters. What I appreciate most is that the movie never turns her sexuality into a problem that needs fixing. Being a lesbian isn't the conflict here. It's the backdrop. The real tension is internal, choosing between who you are now and who you might become. That quiet uncertainty felt painfully familiar to me, because not every phase of our lives comes with clear answers or dramatic turning points. And yes, and makes selfish choices. She hurts people. She drifts. But so do real people when they're trying to grow without a map. Likability becomes this invisible rule female characters are expected to follow, and plus refuses to play along. It allows her to be messy without punishing her for it. That's why this film resonates so deeply with European audiences, especially in places like France and the UK. It trusts the viewer. It doesn't add villains. It doesn't manufacture trauma. It just lets a woman exist, evolve, and figure herself out in her own time. And honestly, that feels radical. Then again, sometimes it's resistance. I'll again and again defend duck butter for good reasons. People love to call duck butter uncomfortable, cringe, awkward in a way that makes them want to look away. And honestly, that reaction is exactly why I defend it. This movie doesn't care about being pretty. It's not trying to be soft or flattering or consumable. It's not shot to look good for someone watching from the outside. It's shot for the people inside the experience, and that makes a lot of viewers uneasy. What I appreciate about Duck Butter is how brutally honest it is about intimacy. Not the fantasy version, the real version. The kind where conversations stall, bodies get tired, and chemistry doesn't magically fix emotional distance. It captures that weird, exhausting effort of trying to fast-track closeness with someone you barely know. And it doesn't clean it up to make anyone comfortable. Most lesbian movies still carry traces of the male gaze, even when they don't mean to. They're careful. They're aesthetic. They're framed to be watched. Duck Butter refuses that entirely. It shows the awkward pauses, the bodily realities, the emotional ugh moments that usually get edited out. That honesty feels intentional, not lazy. I didn't walk away from this movie feeling soothed. I walked away feeling seen. And that's a difference people don't always know how to name. For indie film lovers, especially in the US and UK, this movie's mumblecore soul is part of the appeal. It values emotional truth over polish. It chooses authenticity over fantasy. And sometimes the most radical thing a lesbian movie can do is tell the truth without apologizing. I've also seen people dismiss Elisa and Marcella as style over substance, and every time I hear that, it feels like missing the entire point of the film. This story isn't just about two women in love. It's about two women whose love was never meant to be remembered. Lesbian history wasn't archived. It was hidden, erased, or whispered about and then lost. So when Isabel Coixet chooses slow motion, black and white imagery, and a dreamlike pace, I don't see excess, I see intention. I defend this film because aesthetics aren't a distraction here. They're a monument. By framing Elisa and Marcella's relationship like high art, the film gives their love the weight and dignity it was denied in 1901. It turns something society labeled taboo into something epic, something sacred. Watching it, I didn't feel like I was being told a history lesson. I felt like I was witnessing a memory that refused to disappear. The slowness, the silence, the beauty, all of it asks you to slow down and pay respect. That's uncomfortable for viewers who want constant motion or clear answers. But not every love story needs to explain itself. Some just need to exist, fully and unapologetically. That's why this film connects so strongly with audiences who value auteur cinema, especially in places like Brazil and France. It trusts symbolism. It trusts emotion. It trusts the viewer. Elisa and Marcella aren't trying to entertain you quickly. It's trying to honor a love that history tried to bury. And that's exactly why I'll defend it forever. And that's it. I hope I haven't wronged anyone. But if there's one thing these movies have in common, it's that they didn't play it safe. And that's exactly why they get misunderstood. They're too honest, too joyful, too messy, or too artistic for people who want lesbian stories to fit into a narrow box. But these films weren't made to be comfortable. They were made to be felt. So, if any of these movies meant something to you, or if there's one you'll defend forever even when no one else does, I want to hear about it. Drop it in the comments. Let's argue respectfully. And if you're tired of surface level lists and want real opinions, real context, and real love for queer stories, subscribe to WLW Watchlist. This channel is for people who watch with intention. I'll see you in the next one.